Hello and welcome to Forever Rugby on Forever Sport. For today's preview, as a very confident Lions side take on a pretty stacked Edinburgh side this weekend at Ellis Park, and two massive blows to the Lions side, which we're going to talk about in a minute because I don't think I can't really understand them really in terms of why the players aren't allowed to play. But we're talking about a side that after it was a pretty slow start to the URC, and they got a bit off to a victory. They had a very nice game against Glasgow Warriors. They then outclassed Stormers at the end of last year, and the Lions sort of looking there and thereabouts. But this year they had a terrible start to the year. They lost a number of games on the bounce. But since that performance against Leinster, where they did lose but looked a lot better, the Lions have actually gone on to string 3 wins in a row, and they'll be looking for their 4th victory this weekend. And I don't think this Lions side, despite how young they are, have ever felt this confident going into a game, because they are playing some pretty incredible rugby at the moment, and a lot of big players putting their names up, putting their hands up, and getting in the performances. However, Edinburgh have welcomed back a number of international players, and so it'll be a very stiff task to a Lions side which currently do not boast a single current international player. No player within the Lions squad is currently part of any sort of national squad. One of the few, in fact, could be one of the only teams in the entire URC that actually don't have that. So it sort of shows you how big that they form and that any sort of victory they get is because they are very much playing against the odds in terms of the type of squad that they've got. If we look at the side, this is how the Lions will line up. So to start for JP Smith, who's actually been pretty impressive coming off the bench since coming to the Union. Steve Satole has been rested this weekend. However, there's no PJ Buerta and there's no Burger Oendal this weekend. They are unavailable because they were close contacts to a COVID positive test, COVID case earlier this week, and as a result have been kept away from the squad until Monday as a precaution. Now, I don't understand that. The South African law right now is you only have to isolate if you have tested positive for COVID-19 and you are symptomatic. There is no more isolation for close contacts. In fact, there's no isolation if you test positive and you're not symptomatic. So I don't understand how that has resulted in a situation where Burger Oendal and Jacob Asaki, to our knowledge, have not returned positive COVID tests and yet are not part of the squad this weekend. I cannot understand it. And I mean, Burger Oendal's coming on the back of arguably what was almost a man of the match performance last weekend, one of the most important players for the Lions, as is Jacob Asaki. So, those are massive blows for the Lions. So it will be PJ Buerta, Cardi Sardi. Now, PJ Buerta is someone who I sometimes struggle to understand how he's managed so far as a hooker because of his line-out inadequacy, really. And last weekend had a much better game off the bench, and we're starting to see a bit of improvement there, but he has to pitch up this weekend. If the Lions are to have any chance to get a very good Edinburgh side, their set piece has to function well. Ruben Schoeman and Rand North-Narkle have looked pretty good as a duo in the last couple of weeks. Rand North-Narkle back from injury, captains the side this weekend, a very exciting young player. And then a loose trio, which are doing a lot of good at the moment. Frankie Horn, who's quite subtle, and then the two Chitukas are just having an absolute field day. Vincent Chituka has been phenomenal for a long time. He's on the back of 2 back-to-back Man of the Match awards. He's been fantastic for the Lions throughout the season. But his brother, Emmanuel Chituka, is suddenly joining the party. Very different type of player. He's not as big, not as physical, but a lot faster, got a decent pair of hands in him, and those two are proving to be a very nice little combination for the Lions. Morné van den Berg, Jordan Hendricks is a halfback combination, which for me changes the side. Morné van den Berg, on the back of an announcement that he has signed a contract extension with the Lions, he will be with the Lions until 2024 at this stage, has changed things at the Lions because his delivery has sped up the Lions play by a country mile. Elsewhere, Edel van der Merwe, Ras Baklana, and Kieran Horn are the back three. Edel van der Merwe has been looking very good. All of a sudden, he's bringing a whole sense of physicality to his game that we previously haven't seen. Now, I think it's a very talented backline. I think it kind of falls down a little bit with Manuel Russ, who for me is a little bit lightweight and struggles to get over the advantage line. And I think that's where the Lions are going to struggle this weekend, is not having a Burger Oendal or anybody who can really get themselves over the advantage line. Wanasina Similani is a phenomenal player and very creative, but he thrives in that second phase. Burger Oendal makes a break, and that quick recycle suddenly opens a few gaps. Now that's where you want to see the Similani. You can open up those gaps. You can put players into those gaps. But unless you have that person to really get over the advantage line, those gaps are not going to be created. If we're looking off the bench, Morné Brandon, the young hooker, is joined by Ruan Dre, who brings a lot of experience across two pretty inexperienced front row replacements around him in Asanati and Clavicania. Then Ruan Fenter, the very exciting 19-year-old, is with Siba Siso Sangweni. Also two very promising young flank / locks. You can sort of play it all around the park. Andrew Warner came off the bench last weekend to very good effect and scored a try. Henk van Wyk, the SA Under-20 Player of the Year last year, is back from injury and is on the bench. Tian Swanepoel in the number 23. So I think Henk van Wyk, for example, is a very exciting player and interesting to see if he can play it inside centre, because him and Wonderseed Similani could be a Lions centre combination for years and years to come if the Lions are to manage to keep those two players. If you look at Edinburgh, it's a return for Jacob van der Walt. He'll be coming back to Ellis Park for the first time since he left the Union all those years ago. But if we're looking at the starting lineup, Pierre Schoeman, Stuart McAnally, and VPN Null, an all-international front row there. Piers Phillips, Grant Gilchrist, Magnus Bradbury in the number 6 jersey is next to Hamish Watson and Ben Muncaster. So it's a pretty stacked pack in terms of international experience there. You then got Ben Vellacott next to Blair Kinghorn, who's now actually played for Scotland at fly half. Emiliano Befeli, the very exciting finisher from Argentina, is in the number 11 jersey because Darcy Graham is back in the number 14. The two centres, James Lang and Mark Bennett, are quite a consistent centre pairing. And then Henry Immelman, the South African-born fullback at the back of the back line. Then off the bench, Dave Cherry, Bowen Fenter, Lewin De Bruin. So quite a lot of South African flavour to the sides between the likes of a VP now, a Fenter, a couple of De Bruins, a Van der Walt. You then got Glenn Young, Connor Boyle, Charlie Shield, Jacob van der Walt, and Matt Curry. Rounding up the rest of the bench there. On paper, this side beats the Lions, especially the Lions without a Birgit Werdendal and a without a Jakob Asaki. However, we said the same thing probably 2 weeks in a row between Munster and even Ospreys to a certain degree, and even I know Ospreys without the international stars, but the Lions also don't have any international stars, and yet the Lions absolutely hammered them. So the Lions have looked very good recently, and you never know. You never know. Playing at Ellis Park is a very different prospect. It'll be interesting to see how the Scottish players fare there. But let me know what your score predictions are down in the comments below. Please do smash a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as well. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Steven, and I'll chat to you soon.